his fingers and make it all go away. He didn't yell and scream in anger, and he certainly wasn't afraid. God didn't even spare his own son from it. He could have. Instead, he bore it. Literally all of it. He suffered it, patiently, and he crushed it, permanently. And he looks at you and me dead in the eyes and says, "Come on, now let's do this together. I'll show you." He doesn't give us an answer. He gives us himself. There's a scene from Dostoevsky's book, The Brothers Karamazov, that's etched in my brain. In it is the Grand Inquisitor, evil incarnate, and he's blaming his prisoner, Christ, for all the evil in the world. "You got it wrong," he accuses. "You gave them freedom, but they're too weak to bear the responsibility of it. Too weak to find salvation. They don't want freedom, they want security. Without it, there'd be no suffering, no war, no hunger, no slavery, no death. Because of you, millions are lost. Because of you, millions will suffer. Because of you, millions will die." The prisoner's response, and these are his lines, not mine. When the Inquisitor ceased speaking, he waited some time for his prisoner to answer him. His silence weighed down upon him. He saw that the prisoner had listened intently all the time, looking gently in his face and evidently not wishing to reply. The old man longed for him to say something, however bitter and terrible. But he suddenly approached the old man in silence and softly kissed him on his bloodless, aged lips. That was all his answer. The old man shuddered. His lips moved. He went to the door, opened it, and said to him, "Go. Come no more. Come not at all. Never. Never." And he led him out into the dark alleys of the town. What was Christ's response to evil? No words, no anger, no fear. Just, what was evil's response? So I don't think the question is, why does God let bad things happen? We can never know the answer to this, but I'm perfectly okay trusting in the one who does. But I think the better question is, what's my response? How do I respond to all the evil I see? Do I kick and scream, cursing the darkness? Or do I go out there and light a candle, a fire? How do I respond to the evil that touches my friends, my family, my neighbor? Do I blame the entire universe? Or do I just show up and sit there, gently, and bear it with them?
I've been thinking a lot about unimaginable situations, families in Afghanistan, Syria, and other...
How do I respond to the evil that invades my mind and tortures my soul? Do I fight to overcome the problem of evil? Or is the problem of evil me? Terrible things are going to happen. We can't control it. But we can choose how we respond to it. Do I let it overcome me? Or do I overcome it? Do I respond just with more evil? Or am I love in the midst of the evil? It's one of the hardest things we'll ever do. And I don't think we can do it alone. But that's okay. Because we have a very powerful friend who's already gotten through exactly what it is you're going through. And he looks at you gently, all the love and strength in the universe. And say,
Hey, get back here!
okay, come on. Now let's do this together.
No, 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 no!
For some of us, many of us, Christmas is tough. Maybe we're just completely and utterly alone. Or maybe our families, our marriages, our lives are currently a huge disaster. Maybe we're worried about our kids, our bills, our health. Or we just feel kind of dead inside. Whatever it is, there's just this idea that when this time of year rolls around, we're all supposed to just feel good and cheery. And we want to feel good and cheery, but we don't. And then that stirs up all the reasons why we don't feel good and cheery, and we feel worse. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have any answers, because I don't, or tell anyone what to do, because I won't. But what I can say, very sincerely, is I get it. I think we all do, to some extent. And I can only share, very humbly, what seems to work for me. To me, I see the Christmas blues as an opportunity, or a call, to get out of all the outer stuff of Christmas, which seems to be the fuel for the problems, and get back into the inner stuff of Christmas, which okay, bear with me. Our hearts are a very big place. And inside the center of every one of them is a tiny, dark, cold little cave. Empty. Now picture two very weary travelers, out in the cold all alone, who need a place to stay. Imagine the woman with child. But there's something about her, pure, innocent, beautiful. Now imagine the man, strong, a protector, frantically searching for a place to stay, out there. But he keeps getting turned away. He remembers a place, a cave, tiny, empty, all alone in the middle of nowhere. They're searching for your heart, a shelter, a place to stay. Now imagine them sweeping out all the dust and the stones and the junk, lighting a warm fire, and very tenderly waiting together. Now the rest I'll leave up to you, but this is where Christmas is. This is where Christmas happens. Not outside, but inside. Where we're part of a family, and where we wait to receive the King. I don't think there's any one of us who doesn't want to be rich. And it's probably the one thing that occupies our mind and our thoughts, causes us the most stress and anxiety, and guides our life's decisions more than anything else. And we assign so much value to this one thing, and we place all our hope and our trust and our security, and we measure our value and our worth as compared to everyone else in it. And we think, if I just had this one thing, I'll be happy. But if I don't, the want and the worry will destroy me. So we end up trading our lives for it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, don't desire wealth, that's bad. That's unrealistic. And we're wired that way for a reason. What I would say is, it's not that we desire wealth too much. It's that we don't desire it enough. We're just desiring the wrong type of wealth. There once was a rich man and his driver. The rich man had it all: obscene amounts of money, celebrity status, a global empire, and all the shiny things his heart desired. He wasn't a bad person, but he wasn't necessarily good either. Sure, he promoted all the right causes at all the right times, as long as the cameras were working. But he lived mostly for himself, for success, for his own glory, and completely indifferent to the person standing right next to him. Unless they provided some sort of use, of course. His driver was a poor man, never really had much of anything, struggling to support his family, living in a broken-down old house. Pleasant, dignified, but basically four walls. He was a good man. He never heard a negative word from his mouth about anyone or anything, and you could count on him for everything. He lived his life totally for others, never once counting the cost to himself. First, for his beloved wife, whom he held above all the treasures of all the world. Then, his beloved children. Then anyone else who needed a hand, an extra donut, a little cheer, or just to feel like a human being again. One wintry day while driving home, they hit a patch of ice, slid off a bridge, and that was the end. When they came to, they found themselves in the back of an old cab, driving down the most beautiful road they've ever seen. "Where are we?" the driver asked. "We're in what you would call heaven," the cabbie answered. "I'm taking you to your new homes." When they pulled into the first drive, the first thing they noticed were the crowds of people. Oceans of them, cheering, celebrating, like one of those parades you see in the world. Rising up at the end of the drive was the biggest, most beautiful, well, that's just it. We don't have the words to describe it. Mansion or castle or palace, don't even come close. "Welcome home," the cabbie said to the driver, and the crowds erupted. The rich man's eyes widened. If this is the driver's home, he thought, I can't wait to see mine. As they drove a little further, outside of what seemed to be the main area, they pulled down a side road and up to a little house. Pleasant, dignified, but basically four walls and a roof. "Welcome home," the cabbie said to the man. No, this is a mistake," the man complained. "You switched the houses." "There's no mistake," the cabbie answered. "We did the best we could with the materials you sent us." "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth. Materials you sent us." "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do not destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Which one of these would I rather? Seriously, all the wealth and power and glory that this world could give me, that I could enjoy for like maybe 30 years? Or all the wealth, power, and glory that God could give me for eternity? And which one of these do I work and suffer and stress and trade the better part of my life for? And which one of these do I think is a better place to put all my hope and trust and security in? And if I'm going to measure my value on my wealth, then which one of these do I think is a better indicator of my worth, of who I am? Now, I know some of us are thinking, Yeah, well, that all sounds great, but I kind of want wealth, and we kind of need wealth. Does this mean it's just one or the other and we have to be poor the rest of our lives? This really has nothing to do with being rich or poor, and we can do a lot of good with wealth in this world. But this has to do with which one of these does my heart really belong to? Deep down in that inner core of our heart, which one do I really desire? Because it can really only be one. Right after Jesus says, store up treasures in heaven, he says, you can't serve two masters. And don't worry about where you're going to eat or drink or wear. Those who don't believe in me run around after all this stuff. Your Father knows what you need. Seek first Him, His kingdom, His goodness, and He'll take care of everything else. That's a promise, one I've found to be 100% true. So ask yourself, if I were to die today, and God willing I even make it to heaven, what would my home look like? Has my life sent up enough material? Would it be some dingy little shack outside of town? Or something else that eyes have never seen and ears have never heard and no imagination could possibly comprehend, right in the center of it all? So let's start building treasure in heaven right now, today. How? By our goodness, our love, our sacrifice. By our lifting that person up and helping that person out. By our turning from that temptation and resisting all that negativity. Our hope when we feel hopeless. Our trying to understand rather than just get annoyed. Our forgiveness as He forgives us. Our patience with ourselves, with each other, and whatever this world's going to dump on us. Our bearing with our own flaws, gently. Our bearing with each other's flaws, gently. Our bearing with all our suffering, gently. Our standing with truth, even when it costs me something. By our turning to Him when we want to turn to everything else. By our loving of everyone, even the people we don't really like. By our faith, our trust, our prayer from the heart. By basically two things. By trying to imitate Him in all my thoughts, words, and actions. And by my trying to choose His will in every part of my life over my own.
Your child needs these 3 key factors to get into an Ivy League or top 25.
I know I'm going to get a bunch of comments that say, yeah, but aren't you just saying just do good to get some reward in heaven? Isn't that kind of selfish? And yeah, that's an imperfect motive. We want to move to a perfect motive, which is, I'm doing it for the giver of the gifts, not for the gifts themselves. Or in other words, I'm doing it because I love the giver of the gifts, not to get the gifts themselves. And isn't that why we do anything for anyone we love? I mean, if we do something for our mom, who we love very, very much, we're not doing it to get anything in return. We're doing it just because it's her. And what does our mom do in return? She showers us with all her love and food and hugs and kisses and everything she has. And not because we may have done some tiny little thing for her. It's because she loves us more than anything else. And that's just who she is. Now God, who has treasure beyond anything we could ever possibly comprehend, whose generosity could never be matched, just wants to shower us with all of His treasure and power and glory and everything He has. Not because of some tiny thing we may or may not have done, but because He loves us more than anything else. And that's just who He is. And that's what this is all about. Not some transactional thing, but this mutual, I just want to give you everything I have. Okay, now I'm going to go an expert round here, but picture your heart like a container. And the bigger our capacity to love and give of ourselves here, the bigger our capacity to receive Him and all of His love and treasure and everything He wants to give us there. Does that make sense? So this is our purpose. This is what we're here for. This is what we work for. This is where we put all our hope, trust, and security. This is where we find our worth, our identity, and this is what we're made to desire. Not some new house or car or money or power or sex or All these tiny little things down here that are going to pass away just like that. Boring. But for real, lasting, eternal treasure. Beyond anything we could possibly measure. With him. Okay, I gotta end this thing. But just one last thought to try to tie it all together. Try these 2 things every day for a week and see if it makes any difference. First, just take 5 minutes every day. Close your eyes and place yourself in your home in heaven. I know we can't really imagine it, but we can go there in our hearts. Surrounded by countless angels and saints, and generations of family and people, all who love you perfectly. Face to face with the living God, with unlimited access to all his mystery. And just rest there. And the second thing is this. Then just ask yourself, what am I doing today to work towards this, to build treasure in heaven? And keep that in the back of your mind throughout the day. Everything is an opportunity. And the more we shift the power of our infinite God-given desire from all these things to all these things, the more all our worries and anxieties and stress just get smaller and smaller and fade away. And the more we grow to desire these things, the more we're going to want to build this kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. And the more our hearts really start living there, the more we really start living heaven. Hey everybody, thanks for watching, and if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. This is the part that I hate, but everyone always asks me, how come you don't make more content? Well, I need your help. I've posted some links below of ways you can help support I Am Beggar, through PayPal, our website, or come join us on Patreon. It's all just about getting more stuff out to more eyeballs, and hopefully touching more souls. I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate every single one of you who's ever watched one of these videos.
Oh no. Got too many people watching me. Bye.